Well, good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Stephen Walker doing my twice a week mental health live stream where we're just talking about mental health the way you talk about anything else in your life. We're talking about it from a perspective of there's nothing wrong with having issues. There's nothing wrong with having things that we need to work on. You know, we all have issues. We all have a degree of mental illness. You're going to hear me say that until somebody carts me away, because it's the truth. We live in a culture where people do not talk about their mental illness enough. We do not talk about what's on our mind enough. We keep our issues inside of us and we deal with it from a perspective of shame and that there's something wrong with us. Hey, Kat, how are you? Hey, Amity, Judy, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in live. Remember, I'm here trying to be here twice a week, donating my time because I love what I do. Frontline mental health provider, full-time private practice, do a lot of volunteer work, a lot of giving away sessions, as many as I can. But here we are. So we're going to talk tonight about confirmation bias. A lot of people may not even know what a confirmation bias is. So I, encourage you to look these topics up. But I'll get into that in a second. But before we get going, I want to do just a quick shout out to our sponsor, BetterHelp.com. They are a online provider of mental health services. I'm going to post a link that you can use to get a discounted rate. Great organization. They put together tens of thousands of people, licensed people, professionals who are waiting to help you deal with your issues. And I encourage you to check it out. I encourage you to check out anybody who is a licensed mental health provider who can help you deal with what's on your mind, because quite frankly, people, we need to deal with what's on our mind. We need to deal with what's happening in our culture. We need to deal with it from a perspective that, we need to do something, because, we're heading towards something. I don't know what it is, but this increasing polarization, this increasing shame, this increasing idea that there's something wrong with what's going on in our minds, is taking our society down a very dangerous road where people are literally digging in deeper to how they think and feel. And that's why I'm going to talk tonight about confirmation bias. I want to quickly mention my Help a Human Fund. It's a fund you can donate into. You can help somebody who can't afford treatment. It puts me in a very difficult situation when I don't accept people's insurance, or, they can't afford to pay for services. And I would love to give away my services. I would love to have a wealthy beneficiary or benefactor or whatever the Bena word is, that I can literally just not charge anybody and I would never have to interface with an insurance company again. But the realities of running a small business in the United States of America is very expensive, very expensive. So I can't work for free. Wish I could. So check out helpahuman.org. And if you're so inclined, you can make a donation or refer it to somebody that could potentially help some people. So let's talk about confirmation bias, okay? Let's remember, you're welcome, Judy. Thank you for acknowledging that. Judy's saying thank you for doing this for us. You're welcome. I love doing it. I wish I took a little 3-week break. I ruffled some feathers. I apologize for that. And I appreciate the messages, but the reality of, like I said before, running a full-time private practice, having a wife, a 5-year-old son, as many of you have seen, there's only so much time during the day. But I'm going to definitely get on at least once a week from now on. But remember, these mental health live streams, the reason I do them live is to interact with you, to be live. If somebody's struggling with something and needs some real advice or real help, or a direction in which, they want to go, or somebody's low and they want to just process something that's on their mind, shoot me a question, make a comment, okay? I'm not here to just be another talking head on the internet, thinking I'm whatever. I want to engage with you. Okay. I want to engage with you about what's on your mind and talk about things. Hey, Penny, how are you? Thanks. I'm glad to be back too. If we make comments on here, does it show up on our Facebook page? No, it does not, Judy. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But you know what, Judy? Again, if it does, like I said, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But again, Judy's talking about that shame, that idea that there's something wrong with having issues or something wrong with working on your mental health on a mental health live stream. And I feel you, I do. We live, our culture stigmatizes people who suffer. I don't know why. We don't seem to stigmatize other forms of pain or medical conditions or whatever it may be. But for some reason, having insecurities, fears, traumas, emotional wounds from the past is something to be ashamed of. And it's ridiculous. It's complete BS, if you ask me, because there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to be ashamed of working on stuff that has affected you, because I'll say it again, you didn't ask for these emotional wounds. You didn't ask for this pain. You didn't ask for somebody to injure you, or somebody to violate your trust, or somebody to violate you sexually, or whatever it may be. You didn't ask for that. So there's no reason to be ashamed for that, that it's still affecting you. Okay, Kelly, thank you. It doesn't show up on anyone's feed. Great. Okay, well, let's get into the topic tonight about confirmation bias. What is a confirmation bias? Why it's important to be aware of your confirmation biases, and how to manage them. Now, remember, everybody, okay, none of this is going to be solved in one live stream. This is my way of planting seeds in people's minds that you could potentially research or think about, what's my confirmation bias? So a confirmation bias is a bias you have in your mind through conditioning that then you look for confirmation of that bias in your interactions with the world around you, okay? Basically, the idea is, let's say politically, I'm a hardcore Democrat and I believe all Republicans are racist, or I'm a Republican, I believe all liberals are libtards and they're idiots and whatever. So the minute I engage with the minute I engage with somebody from a differing point of view, and it doesn't have to be politically, it can be anything you imagine. I mean, they did a study back in, I think it was in the 50s or 60s, where they gave a teacher, they had two teachers in two classes, and they told a teacher that the group of students they were working with was the gifted class. And they told the other teacher that the group of students they were working with was the remedial class. But guess what? They switched them around. The teacher who thought they were getting the gifted students was getting the remedial, and obviously vice versa. And what happened was the expectations of the teacher rose or fell based on their bias about who they were teaching. That's an example of the confirmation bias. Another example of a confirmation bias is, I can't trust nobody. I have always been hurt. Hey, Ghost Life, how are you? Hey, Jay, what's going on? You're welcome, brother. Thank you for appreciating the stream. Please engage with me, people. Remember, live stream means I'm streaming live, obviously, to engage with people about what's on their mind. So another form of a confirmation bias, like I said before, is I can't trust anybody. I'm always going to be hurt. All men are evil. All women are evil. All black people are bad. All white people are bad. Racism is a perfect example of a confirmation bias, a conditioned confirmation bias. We have confirmation biases against ourselves. We believe we're losers. We believe we're just winners and nobody's better than us. So the key to managing your confirmation bias, obviously, is what? Knowing what the hell they are. Knowing what your confirmation biases are. So, excellent. Ghost Life is saying, I finally learned to control my self-talk. We'll talk about that, brother. How did you finally learn to control that? Now, remember, you're saying I learned to control it. That means it's a done deal and you can move on to another thing. It ain't. It is not. Hey, Sam, how are you? And Sam, again, I appreciate your message, because, your message kind of got me back on track to get back to doing the live stream, Sam. So I appreciate that, because sometimes, you know how it is, we get so collapsed into our world, we forget that we're actually, part of other people's world. So I appreciate that, Sam. Thank you. Nothing personal. Thank you. Sometimes we all need a little, kick and a little prodding. So sorry. No. You have nothing to be sorry about. I know you were, and that's cool. And I appreciate that, because I forget sometimes that people are watching this and they enjoy it, and I do. But if you guys knew just the amount of clients and the amount of work that goes into running a private practice, and I'm blessed, because I am in there's no lacking clients. So we're really lucky. But the reality of that is, when you're seeing 8, 9, 10 people back to back to back, and then you've got to do charting, then you got to do treatment plans, then you've got insurance companies to interface with, then you got requests for records, and you got to do billing, and you got a wife that needs attention and a 5-year-old. It just, by the end of the day, it's just like, But anyway, here we are. So a confirmation bias, again, is, just a recap, any bias we have either for ourselves or for people around us, okay? A confirmation bias, if you think about just the two words, confirmation bias, a bias is obviously something that I have a prejudice or a belief about, or something that I think is true. And then the word confirmation means I am looking for confirmation. I'm expecting to have that confirmed. Now, why is that? If you notice, if you go back on my YouTube page, and by the way, please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you can. The more people that subscribe, the higher our videos get. I just made a little promo video, so if you check it out on there, let me know what you think about it. But if you see kind of the theme of a lot of my videos and live streams, is everything is related to aspects about mental health that I have seen trip people up if they just work on them. Okay. So a confirmation bias is one of the main factors that contribute to dysfunctional relationships. Oh, thanks, Judy. I appreciate that. Cost me $250. Oh yeah. I should give a shout out to Tribal Media. Should post a link. Really good guy. Did it for me. What's his name here? Lordy. Live. Nick, he's an independent video producer, and he did it for me. So, Tribal Media out of Denver. So, but the way the confirmation bias trips up people in relationships is they go into it with these biases, and then anything somebody says is confirmed by that. Anything. So even little innocuous things are misinterpreted because they're being filtered through your confirmation bias. So if you think about it, let's say you're in a relationship where you genuinely believe that people can't be trusted. People can't be trusted. And I'm going to do another live stream on this ridiculous idea that you either trust someone or you don't, because that is bipolar nonsense at its most. I'm not trying to insult anybody if you believe that, but trust me on this. Trust is not all or nothing. There's not an all or nothing. If you look at trust from the paradigm through the lens of it's either you do or you don't, you're going to have issues in relationships. You're going to have issues in relationships, because what happens is you begin to expect that the person that you're trying to trust has to be perfect. Ghost is saying, I have been doing a lot better, and I feel like I've overcome depression, even though I get very small mood swings. They're normal. I feel great. Great, man. Keep working it, brother. Keep working it, because depression is one of those things that is like any other illness that we have. We have to do what I call preventative psychology. We have to prevent the occurrence of the depression by being mindful, thinking about our thinking. Remember, mindfulness, thinking about what we're thinking about, being aware of what we're thinking about. So, Ghost, what I'm hearing you say is kind of a confirmation bias, meaning that you have a bias that you feel you have already overcome depression. You feel that you have already overcome depression. Excuse me. So why is that potentially problematic? Because what happens, like you said, if you have a small or even a medium or large mood swing, what's your confirmation bias going to be? Oh, I thought it was over this. I thought I'd never have to deal with this again. So you will then magnify the little bit of depression that you have, and you will then feel as though, oh my God, I'm back to square one. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with depression. If you check out that video, the promo video, one of the first tiles in there is there's nothing wrong with having negative thoughts and emotions. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And remember, everybody, if you're checking this out live, please share it. Please share this on your timeline. Pull in some people. Be proud of the fact that you're working on your mental health the way you'd be proud of the fact if I was a cardiologist and you're getting advice or thoughts on how to deal with your cardiovascular health. There is nothing wrong with having issues. Everyone has issues. Everyone, myself included, everyone has stuff from their past that is still affecting them. But there are these people who like to believe, oh, it's all, my past doesn't affect me. Nonsense. Okay? Nonsense. Trust me. Everyone has issues. So if you're watching this, please share it. Be proud of the fact that you're working on yourself. Okay? Laura's saying, yes, you're right. Yes, be very aware, but when we are aware, don't let it control your life. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the whole issue right there. That's the whole issue, because we need to be aware of what's controlling our life, and not only controlling our life, we have to be aware of what's controlling our thoughts and emotions. Because yes, there's a percentage of people, Judy, I'm going to get to your question in a second. There are plenty of people, there's a percentage of people, I think it's 6 to 9% or somewhere, it fluctuates that have what are called organic brain anomalies, meaning that they have organically based mental illness that needs pretty severe treatment, pretty extensive, forms of medication. A lot of times they need to be hospitalized. A lot of times, they're homeless, they're doing criminal activity, or they're just, wandering the streets, and we have seen them. The majority of us, though, have a degree of mental illness. We have a degree of issues that we need to work on, that we're now working on. And we need to work on them, people. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing. Okay. I was watching something on one of the TV channels about a teenager who killed himself. And it just breaks my heart that there are people who get so convinced that their negativity will never heal, or they get so convinced that there's no way out. And there are ways out. If you're struggling, if you're catching this live, you're struggling with severe depression or feelings of suicide or wanting to hurt somebody else, get some help. Get some help. There's nothing wrong with getting help. Judy's asking, is a form of confirmation bias like beating yourself up because of others around you thinking that they are better than you? Absolutely. Judy, that is a confirmation bias on multiple levels, sister, multiple levels, okay? Because the first confirmation bias is that you have to beat yourself up. You have to beat yourself up. You have to put yourself down. You have to relate to yourself in a way that is crappy. And Judy, I would imagine, I don't know if we've ever talked about this on here, but I would imagine, Judy, if you beat yourself up a lot, you learn that from someone growing up. You either learn that as a kid, or you learn that from other relationships where you were abused. And that's a confirmation bias right there. I'll always be abused. Absolutely. Here's the second one. Because of others around you thinking they are better than you. There's a confirmation bias right there. Because that's a multi-layered confirmation bias. if you and I were working together, or if you were working with somebody in the field, I would imagine, that they would work on that belief system that you have, that you feel that either A, people are thinking that they're better than you, or you're thinking that people are better than you. And that's absolutely a confirmation bias, because let's take A, you think people are thinking that they're better than you. You don't know that, sister, okay? Because unless you're psychic and you can read people's minds, then there's no way you're going to ever know that people are thinking that they're better than you. But because you have a confirmation bias that you think you're beneath, that you think you're beneath people, there's your confirmation bias. You look out in the world around you, anybody treats you poorly, anybody makes you feel bad about yourself. You see, I knew it. I'm less than, or that's a confirmation bias. Absolutely. So Judy is following up by saying, how do you get family members into treatment when you know they are sinking into depression and high anxiety that's affecting your daily life, and it's been on and off for 15 years? Yeah, that's a challenging one. That is definitely a challenging one, getting people into treatment. My recommendation to you on that is that you just you keep it up. You ask them, why don't you want to feel better? What is going on? A lot of times people are in denial. They don't even know that they need help. Keep keeping on, as they used to say when I was a kid. But that's one of the main ways, is just continue to, maybe you get into treatment, model the behavior, say, I'm working on myself, I'm working on these issues. But the main thing to do, Judy, is to remind yourself how much you've tried to get them into treatment. If they go off the deep end and do something that causes causes them to hurt somebody or hurt themselves, you tried. Listen, people, a lot of times the only thing you're left with is the knowing that you tried, the knowing that you made an effort, the knowing that you put it out there, because you cannot control other people's behavior. You cannot heal people. You cannot make someone do something they don't want to do. But if you know you've tried, if you've tried to exhaust all sources, give them a gift certificate to betterhelp.com. Go online, use that promo code I posted right here again. I didn't have it here, but anyway, and it's in the chat stream earlier, but buy them a certificate to get some counseling. Find somebody locally that you feel that they can maybe work with, and see whether or not they can get some help. Here's the link, by the way, if you want to look at it here. This is the link to get this is a promo code that they are sponsoring our program on, that you can use. Just type in betterhelp.com, Dr. Walker, sign them up, see if they have anything where you can buy a gift certificate, and tell them that, that's what you want to do. That's what you want from them. But the key, people, is this, okay? Like I said before, a lot of times we just need to do these things for us. We need to do them knowing that we tried. I had situations like that in my own family. Tried, moved across the country, tried to help people, nonstop negativity, nonstop finger pointing. You just need to know you have tried. So Judy, keep trying, and know that you're trying to do what you can to work it out. Yeah, Laura, don't let other people's problems control you. Absolutely, yes, but sometimes you can't tell them that. I've tried to work on myself, and it. Absolutely, you're right, and that's sometimes what we need to focus on. We need to focus on the fact that we are working on ourselves, and I've always said modeling is the best way to show people that what you want them to work on, meaning that they can't point the finger at you and say, well, what about you? Hey, I'm getting treatment. I am working on it. One of the key ways to work on your confirmation bias, like I said before, is to know what they are, is to think about what they are. Now, there's several ways to do that. You can Look back at some of your previous relationships and try to get patterns. You could listen, you could read books, you could listen to podcasts on this or whatever. The best way, as you guys know, I'll always say, the best way is talking things out, finding somebody to work with that you can that will help you identify what your confirmation biases are and how to work on them. That is the best way, because at this point, if you don't know what your confirmation biases are, then you're going to struggle with what is going on inside of you, because you have blind spots about what your confirmation bias is, because you're not even aware sometimes what your biases are. But take politically, let's go with the obvious one, because that's like those of you who are political, but that would be the main one. If you are hard right, hard left, more middle left, middle right, whatever it may be, think about what you believe the person on the other side of the aisle is. Think about where you picked that up. Where did you pick up this idea that all liberals are whatever, or all Republicans are whatever? Okay? Define confirmation bias. I did this. I'll do it again for you, Laura. A confirmation bias is a bias we have about ourselves, the world around us, other people, which we then, it embeds itself, and we have multiple biases when it comes to this, and it embeds in our not only self-identity, it embeds in our perception of the world around us, and then we then seek out confirmation for that. We seek out things that confirm that, interactions with people. So again, like I said before, I don't know if you were on before, Laura, but let's say I believe all people can't be trusted. All human beings are untrustworthy. That's a bias. Now, what happens if that is embedded in me enough? The minute a friend doesn't show up, or my boyfriend says he's going to be somewhere, but then he's not, or whatever it may be, you see, confirms what I feel. No people can be no people can be trusted. People can't be trusted. That's a confirmation bias. It's a bias we have inside of us, which we then look for confirmation from in people, whether it's there or not, because the bias then clouds. It's like if I painted these glasses green, then everything's green. That's the filter I see it through. Okay. Shanna, thanks for the question, is asking, is that a form of self-sabotaging? Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, in a sense, it's a form of, is it self-sabotaging in the sense that we are intentionally doing it? No. But does it sabotage ourselves if we have a lot of confirmation biases against ourselves? Absolutely. Absolutely. If I believe all bald-headed people don't deserve to be married and no one's ever going to love me, then that's a bias I have against myself, which then, if I was single, then would get confirmed every time I'm heterosexual, every time a woman would either not like me if I was online, or if I talked to someone online and they weren't maybe that interested or whatever. Oh, you see, nobody likes me because I'm bald. Nobody and that's so yes, absolutely. Absolutely, that's a form of self-sabotage, because what we're doing in a sense is we are going into interpersonal relationships where we already have these biases, and then we're looking for any little thing that happens confirms that, which then integrates that even more into us as a reality. So how does this working with somebody help you? I'm sure maybe if some of you are watching this and you maybe start thinking what your confirmation bias is, that's the main way. You begin getting into a situation where you can talk out where you learn your confirmation bias, what to do about it, and how to continue managing it. So the good question. So how do we get over it? Well, that's the $24,000 question. Okay. How do we get over it? Because my answer to that is, we don't get over it. We get into it. Okay. We get into it. You talk about it, you realize it, and you continue challenging those biases against hard facts. And it takes a degree of self-awareness, meaning, so one of the things that I always encourage people I work with to work on is their degree of self-awareness. Okay, why is self-awareness important? Well, self-awareness is important on multiple levels because people a lot of times aren't even aware of themselves, and they're not only aware of themselves, they're not only aware of what I call their conditioned self, meaning they as if you look back on my YouTube videos or go through the Facebook page. I don't even know what it's called. And yeah, I only do Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I'm not. That's about the amount of social media I can do. But I did one on the imposter syndrome. Remember, imposter syndrome. For people who don't really know what imposter syndrome is the idea that I feel like a phony. I feel like I'm not, I have all these insecurities and self-doubts. And if people really knew that I struggled with that, they would not like me, or they would think I'm a phony. And then I feel like a phony because I feel that the facade, the outward person I put out to the world is not the real representation of me. Okay. And look at the video on imposter syndrome, and I'll, real quick, just to, highlight it. The true imposter is the conditioning. So what you do in situations where you're working with a professional, a licensed mental health professional, licensed, again, remember, there are all these, there's two forms of providers online, or three. Well, there's many, but they kind of break down into they're the licensed people who are practicing mental health, who have a background and training in mental health, and they have licensure, and they have years of experience and training, and they're working daily, carrying caseloads. They've worked in clinical settings. That's one. There's another one that they have degrees in psychology, they're teachers or whatever, but they're not licensed, and they haven't really carried clients, and they haven't really worked. They don't have a lot of therapeutic training. Group that have absolutely no training, no experience in mental health, none in motivation, any of that, and yet people listen to them. You pick which one you want. Okay, you know which one I'm gonna push people into, because yes, I do believe that people will say, "Oh, well, psychology is a soft science," and blah blah blah. People don't even know what a soft science is. Okay, there is so much scientific rigor that goes into what we do. Cognitive behavioral psychology is one of the most scientifically validated forms of treatment. Okay, anyway, we'll talk about another time about that. So what working with somebody like me will help you do is to discover some of the roots of this, some of why you are the way you are, what is going on with how these confirmation biases, and what to do. And one of the keys in working through your confirmation bias, like I said, one of the main keys is self-awareness, becoming aware of it, and then putting yourself into situations where you can dispute the validity of your confirmation bias, meaning that you put yourself in situations where you can say, like, I don't know, go talk to a liberal, go talk to a Republican, go talk to somebody that you already have a confirmation bias. Talk to yourself. Like Go said, he's been working on his his self-talk. Figure out, why do I hate myself so much? What biases do I have against myself that I learned from somebody else? I'll say it again, people. As many of you have seen, he's not in here tonight. My 5-year-old, he doesn't have a racist bone in his body. Why? Because we're not teaching him any of that. There's no born racist. You know what else there's no born of? There's no born self-haters. No one's born hating themselves. One of the reasons most of us, not all of us, because some kids have been through hell being told, you're an idiot, you'll never amount to anything, you're stupid. Guess what you're creating in that child? Confirmation biases against themselves. So one of the things that you can do with your own confirmation biases is regulate your self-talk. Manage your self-talk. Manage what you are saying to yourself. Penny is saying, how do you level out those feelings? Well, Penny, the main way is to get into those feelings. You've heard me say this since I started these live streams. You have to feel them so you can heal them. Okay, this is what we do in the mental health field. We try to therapeutically help people feel things so that we can help them heal those things. That's what you begin to do. You've got to get into the feelings. But what's a confirmation bias we all have? That we've been conditioned. Yes, Laura, he hasn't been conditioned. Exactly. What's a confirmation bias we all have about negative feelings? Oh, it's terrible. I hate my negative feelings. I hate that I'm like this. I have to eliminate them. I have to get rid of them. I have to deny that they exist. I have to deny that I'm in pain. I have to, because I don't want people to know this. There's a confirmation bias. Who was it that asked earlier, Judy, if we make comments on here, does it show up on our Facebook page? And what we talked about for a few minutes was the bias that there's something wrong with talking to somebody about how they think and feel, how you think and feel. That's a huge bias, people. Thankfully, I have noticed the mental health stigma coming down more and more. It needs to keep working it down. Sam's saying they will go up and down depending on the situation. Absolutely. Absolutely, it'll go up and down based on the situation. But the key to managing your confirmation biases is to become aware of what they are, to become aware, to critically take a kind of a personal inventory of who you are and what your biases are. Okay? Yes, feel it, work it out, not to the hate. Absolutely, Laura. Absolutely. We do, because hating ourselves is one of the most destructive things we can do. Self-hate is hating people ask me sometimes, well, dude, what do you see as one of the most destructive things that people do psychologically and emotionally? It's self-hate. Okay? It's self-hate. Like I said before, nobody is born hating themselves. Nobody. So you need to get into those confirmation biases about yourself and what you're feeling about yourself in order to begin managing them and working through them. Otherwise, you're going to spend the rest of your life and think about self-hate as a confirmation bias. Okay, so I hate myself, and I've talked about this before. Went through some very difficult times when I was in high school. Went to an all-white high school, basically, and I'm mixed race, and there were issues with my racial identity in my own family. People were denying my mixed ethnicity straight to my face, he's not black, he's not black. Anyway, so I went through a very miserable, low self-esteem, hating myself, didn't go to my prom, all these things I missed out on. Why? Because I was literally just embedded in self-hatred. And the feedback I was getting from a lot of, this racist high school was, what are you? You're this, you're that. Anyway, so self-hate, let's take self-hate as a confirmation bias. So I hate myself. My bias is, in the past, my bias was that I hated myself. I didn't like who I was. So now what happens when somebody dislikes me? Or what happens if even I perceive somebody not liking me enough? Exactly. That confirms my bias. That confirms my miserable self-identity. That embeds itself into my depression. I start looking outward at the world as just people can't be trusted, and I hate this person, and now I'm projecting all of that hatred outward. Okay, that's how it's a confirmation bias. Okay, what did you do, dude? I worked on it. I finally started working on these issues. I finally got to the root of some of them. I finally was able to talk things out, cry things out, feel things out. And then that helped me continue to grow. Am I healed? Absolutely not. I am in a constant state of healing. Absolutely. And there's no other way to deal with it other than we are constantly healing. We need to keep working on it. We need to keep that process going. Okay. Judy's saying, do you think the insurance companies catch up to the needs of the patients to get therapy? I don't know what that means. Do you think the insurance companies catch up to the needs of the patients to get therapy? I think I know what you mean, Judy. So I'll just go with what I think you mean. The insurance companies don't catch up with any of our needs other than what we tell them we need. Okay. So, the insurance companies will reimburse now and pay for your mental health treatment, and, love them or hate them. Obama was the one who did the Mental Health Parity Act, which made mental health to be on same par as physical health coverage. So if you are out there struggling, please get some help. Remember, you can use this link to get a discount from betterhelp.com by simply plugging in this, clicking on this, or whatever. And you can find, I think some of them actually do take insurance, but please be sure to use this promo code because then you will get the discount. Okay. BetterHelp.com/Dr. Walker. I just put it in the chat stream. Get the help. I mean, I just can't implore people enough. We would have a totally different society. We would have a society of people questioning their confirmation bias, questioning them. Why do I hate myself so much? Why am I using this substance to medicate all these underlying negative thoughts and emotions I have? Why do I even believe there's something wrong with getting help? Okay, Laura is saying, from what I found, yes, talk it out, explain how you're managing. I got a promotion at work. Beautiful. I'm playing two sides. One side is listening to hate. The other side is listening to me. They are taking care of me. Beautiful, beautiful, Laura. Get that help. You know, as Laura mentioned, Laura and I had done some work previously. Unfortunately, the insurance company that Laura was with, we had some contracting issues with them. I can't accept all insurance companies like I did before. We were with Medicare for many years, and I don't want to get into that. But that's why I don't. When I get into it, I mean long story. But someone decided to change the designation of independent psychologist to private psychologist, which just anyway, we just gave up. Helpahuman.org. Helpahuman.org. If that fund was better funded, I could see everybody who calls me and not worry about money, not worry about who's getting paid. So check it out. So, all right. In conclusion, let's get it back up there. Where is it? Here it is. Please, people, challenge your confirmation biases, okay? Challenge who you're listening to online. The person telling you not to care, or only put yourself first, or how to not give an F about this or that. Trust me, they're bleeding all over you. I guarantee you, the people who are telling you don't give an F about people and put yourself, they were injured as children and they haven't worked it out, and they were continually disappointed, and they are telling you to be like them because they somehow have learned to overcome that, and they haven't. All they're doing is they're putting forth this idea that not caring about people is healthy. And people, ask yourself a simple question. Would you rather live in a neighborhood where people care about you, or would you rather live in a neighborhood where no one gives an F about you? Because if you believe that this idea of not giving an F is healthy, I got several mental illnesses where not giving an F is the root of the mental illness. I don't know. Let's talk about narcissism. Let's talk about narcissists who don't care at all about how they affect other people. Wonder where they learned that. Confirmation bias is deeply woven into the narcissist. Okay. The narcissist believes that people are tools. People are not even human beings. Why? Because that's how they feel about themselves, and they don't want to admit it. Okay. That's how they feel about themselves. Okay. So thank you for tuning in. Let me see if there's any more comments or questions. Yes, it takes a village. Okay. You're still doing the work. This is fine now. Okay, great. Laura, good to hear. You should learn how to care about yourself. Absolutely. We all need to learn how to care about yourself. Remember, you heard it from me many months ago, and I'll continue saying it. Your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship you can have. It's called, remember we talked about you're welcome, Judy. Interpersonal psychology is your relationship with the world around you. People, interpersonal. Intrapersonal psychology. Check out intrapersonalpsychology.com. Yes, There's a reason I own that domain name. Intrapersonal psychology is your relationship with yourself, how you treat yourself, what biases you have against yourself, how much you're hating yourself. Okay, that's what we need to be working on. The world that we have does not need to be this effing world. It doesn't. The majority of what we see playing out on the world stage and shootings or whatever, this projecting outward, and everyone thinks that we are right. My way is right. I know what's right. And we're not stopping and going, well, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not right. C7I, YouTube. I hear a lot from people how that don't want to have a partner. They don't want to compromise. It's sad. Absolutely. It's sad. It is very sad. I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but it is very sad because there's a confirmation. I want to go back to the 70s too. Let's play 70s trivia, Judy. Okay. Where was Klinger from? Anyway, you're right, C7I. You're absolutely right. And that's a confirmation bias. Why? Because they don't want to compromise. Where do they learn? What's their bias about compromising? Oh, that means I'm wishy-washy, or that means I'm not strong, or that means they're going to take advantage of me, or that means whatever. That's a confirmation bias right there. That's absolutely a confirmation bias. Sister Christian, yeah, great song, Laura, great song. Sister Christian, are you gone tonight? Anyway, yeah, there you go, Shanna, right, Toledo, Ohio, exactly. Yeah, I'm 56, so I love my 70s. Remember those? K-Tel, those albums by K-Tel? I love those, man. Anyway, but yeah, you're right, C7I. That's a great point. Never seen you on here before. Thanks for your comment, because that's why it's a live stream. That's why I'm doing it live, to get comments from people. So yeah, it is. People who don't want to compromise will absolutely not be in healthy relationships. Absolutely not. They will not be in relationships because they believe something that this compromise is the C word. You can't compromise. Look at what's happening in our government. Nobody wants to compromise. Polarization. Sigrid, hey Sigrid, how are you? Welcome back. Thank you for your kind words on the other live stream. We were taught to suppress our pain and needs by our parents. Amen, sister. Amen. It was that way 60 years ago. That's how they were raised, passed on the curse. Absolutely. So true. We were taught to suppress our pain and needs by our parents. Absolutely. But you know what, Sigrid? As I say to my clients every single day, I'm so sorry. We do not need to be slaves to our conditioning. We don't. We do not have to say, well, I'm the type of person that, no, you are the type of person that you were taught to be. So if you can identify that you were taught to suppress your pain, we don't have to hate our parents. We don't have to say, hate, oh, I hate you. No, we don't have to. I mean, there's sometimes, there are people who haven't worked it out that still have animosity or resentment. Why? Maybe because the parents don't want to work it out with them. Maybe the parents keep blaming them for everything. I don't know. But we don't have to hate our parents, but we do need to identify where we were conditioned, where we were polluted, where the virus got into the machine. So if you were conditioned to suppress your pain, you need to work on that. You need to start feeling that pain. But guess what, people? What is the good old USA's confirmation bias about pain? Kill the mofo. Kill it. Kill that pain. Kill it. That pain can't do nothing. Which is just ludicrous. Why do you think we have the opioid epidemic? Judy saying, or when your parent was so involved in their own self-growth that they let you disappear. Yeah, Judy. That's not good. The invisible child syndrome. Absolutely. They were so involved in their own self-growth. But like I was saying before, killing pain is why we have the opioid epidemic. People are told, don't feel the pain. Don't feel the pain. Just take the drug before you feel the pain. So guess what happens? The person with the pain doesn't even know how much pain they can deal with on their own. So they keep taking the medication because they don't know if they're still going to feel the pain. The doctor said, don't feel the pain. Wait for the med. Don't feel. So they get addicted. Okay. Yeah, I know you have, Laura. And Laura's you remember some of them early days, Laura. You remember some of them early days when I was renting that office in the back of that church, and we went through a lot of this, and you've come a long way, Sister Christian. I'm just joking. You said that earlier. But yeah, and you should be very proud of that. You should be very proud of the work you've done. So yeah, absolutely. We need to work on those issues that are affecting us. There's nothing wrong with having issues. You're in complete denial. I posted a meme on the Facebook page. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. Let's see here. Do I know how to do this? How do I share this screen? Oh, Lord, do I know how to do this? Let's see. Well, you guys stick with me for a second. How do I do this? Share screen, Chrome tab, license psychology. Is that it here? Let's see here. Let me go back here. See if I can. All right, there it is. This meme here. Can you guys see this? It says, if there's something that you say to yourself, you can't talk about. If there's something you say, what did it say here? If I can't talk about that, that is exactly what you should be talking about. This is exactly what we need to be working on, people, is this idea that if you say to yourself, oh, I can't talk about that. I can't talk about that. Okay, Sam, thanks. I can't talk about that. That's what you should be talking about. That's exactly what you should be talking about. Because if you don't talk about it, guess what? It is controlling you. It is literally controlling you. Okay? So one of the things I encourage everyone to do is to identify. I don't know if you guys saw, this is the promo video that I made. Can you see that? I don't know if you can hear that, but anyway. So, but that's what we need to talk about. That's what we need to work on. We need to work on those issues that we're afraid to talk about. Shanna is saying, so confirmation bias is typically trauma-based if it's about the self. Typically. Great question. Typically, Shanna. So yes. And I would say mostly, because a lot of trauma. So, and I was going to log off, but Shanna's, asked a great question, which is why I'm doing the live stream. But let me stop sharing this because it's slowing down my computer. Yes, we've all had trauma. Now remember, Shanna, there are degrees of trauma. There are degrees of trauma. Just like there are degrees of mental illness, there are degrees of trauma. So we've all had a degree of trauma, but we don't want to admit that. Why? Because the confirmation bias that we have in our culture is, I'm done with the past. The past isn't affecting me. The past. Oh, you like that music? Yeah, I like that. I love Rage Against the Machine, man. That ending line, blank you, I won't do what you tell me, blank you. I love that, Judy. But anyway, yes, so we have all had a degree of trauma, but we don't want to deal with it. Why? Because our confirmation bias in America is, get over the past, man. Get over the past. And let me tell you something, people. Everyone's past is affecting them. Everybody. If you haven't worked on it, your past is still affecting you and you're not even aware of it. And like Shanna said, those are your confirmation biases, because it's unhealed emotional wounds that is affecting our culture. It's unhealed emotional wounds that are continued to plague us over and over and over. Dude, when you talk about something with a loved one, someone you think you love, they pull you down into their world, my mother, so on and so forth. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. Sometimes when we do talk to somebody that we love, they do pull us down into their issues, especially if they haven't worked on them. But yet, anyway, getting back to my rant, we would have a completely different culture, completely different society if people were accepting that, hey, look, I got some trauma. It's okay. I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask to be abused. I didn't ask to be hated. I didn't ask to be ignored. I didn't ask to be molested. I didn't ask to be whatever it was that I was traumatized by. I didn't ask for it. So it's okay. It's still affecting me, but I got to work on it. I got to work on it. Okay. And that's my confirmation bias, people. My bias is that all of this crap that we are carrying around can heal, but you got to work on it. You got to be able to admit it to yourself, and you got to work on it. Otherwise, we're going to have this polarized, self-hating, addicted to shopping, addicted to food, addicted to clothing, addicted to medication, addicted to whatever we are, in substitution of, oh God, I don't even want to think about that. I don't want to think about that. Oh, no, I'm over that. I've healed. I'm over that. Horse hockey, as somebody from MASH used to say. Okay. Well, anyway, thank you for tuning in tonight. Please remember a couple of things, okay? One, if you have ever thought about getting help, please get some help. BetterHelp.com/Dr. Walker will get you going. It'll get you a discounted rate, okay? Number two, if you've ever wanted to contribute to a fund to help other people, here it is. 100% of the donations go to helping other people who can't afford treatment. All right. So remember, I'm on every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm going to really try to get back on twice a week, really make an effort. Please tune in. Please share this with anybody that you know might need some help or need. Please, if you haven't gone onto YouTube, please go on to YouTube, search me out, like some of the other videos. I got tons of content up there. You might be surprised that some of what's up there predated all the big thinker, some of the things you see in the mainstream. But check it out. Please set your notifications for when I go live. But seriously, everybody, I really, here's my website. If anybody wants to check me out directly, here is a link to the YouTube page, licensedpsychologist.com. We'll forward to that. But I seriously want to thank everybody for tuning in, for, missing me, for, can you send me a link to what, Laura? Yeah, I'll send it to you. But sending me those messages and getting me back out of the place I was with just being inundated. But I really want to appreciate it. I want to send my appreciation send my appreciation to everybody who logs on, shares, comments. To some of you who like to post snarky comments, you might get it back. You're welcome, Laura. Yeah, Mr. Clean. You know what they say about hair loss in men, right? Well, anyway, we won't go there. But thank you. I really appreciate the support. And please, people, do not suffer in silence. Do not suffer in silence. There's no need to suffer in silence. Get past that bias you have about working with a licensed mental health provider. It's no different. It should be like going to the dentist. It should literally be like going to the dentist, psychologist. Okay. It should be exactly the same thing. And one day it will be, and we will have much more of an enlightened culture. We will have a culture of people who are challenging their confirmation biases, who are challenging what they believe about the world around them, and being more open-minded and more balanced. Okay. So thank you again. I'll see you again next Tuesday. I'm going to try to get some guests lined up, and we will see where we're at, but feel free to shoot me a message. Check out some of my other videos. But again, thank you for your support. I appreciate it. And please work on your relationship with yourself. That is the most important relationship you should have. That is the fundamental principles behind intrapersonal psychology, working on how you relate to you. All right, guys, take it easy. Thanks again. I'll see you next week. Shoot me some ideas. If you want me to do a talk on some particular topic, shoot me a message and I'll work it into the rotation. Okay. All right, guys, have a good night. Take it easy. I would normally let you say good night to my son, but he's hanging out with his mom. So